The gymnasium buzzed with laughter, chatter, and the clatter of folding chairs being dragged across the floor. It was talent show night in the small Louisiana town, the kind of event where kids performed magic tricks, moms sang church hymns, and a few brave souls tried their hand at stand-up comedy. But when John Neely Kennedy's name was called, the audience didn't erupt into cheers, they snickered. Everyone thought it was a prank. After all, John was known for his sharp wit and country sayings, not for singing. Some whispered that he couldn't carry a tune if it were strapped to his back. His friends had signed him up as a joke, never imagining he'd actually step up to the microphone. But John didn't back down. He walked onto that stage with his usual calm, hands tucked behind him, eyes scanning the crowd as though he were about to give a speech in the Senate instead of performing a song. The host leaned in, teasingly, "Well, folks, looks like Senator Kennedy's gonna try his hand at singing tonight. Y'all might wanna cover your ears." The audience chuckled, expecting embarrassment. John took a deep breath, adjusted the microphone, and stood there in silence for a moment. And then, in a voice as steady as an old oak tree, he began to sing. At first, the room froze in disbelief. The voice that poured out of him wasn't clumsy or off-key, it was raw, soulful, and filled with an emotion that hushed even the rowdiest high school kids in the back row. He sang an old gospel tune, one his mother used to hum while washing dishes, and the words carried a weight that made people lean forward in their seats. His tone wasn't polished like a professional, but it was honest. It was the kind of voice that told a story without needing to explain it. The gym grew so quiet you could hear the squeak of a shoe when someone shifted in their chair. Teachers who'd known him for years glanced at each other in surprise. Kids who had expected to laugh suddenly found themselves swallowing hard, blinking back unexpected emotion. And as the last note lingered in the air, the crowd erupted, not in laughter, but in thunderous applause. Some stood, clapping until their hands stung. Others whistled, shouting his name. What began as a joke had turned into a moment of pure respect. But what made it truly unforgettable wasn't just the song. It was what John said afterward. He leaned into the microphone, eyes steady on the crowd, and said, "You know, sometimes in life folks will try to put you in a box. They'll tell you what you can't do, who you can't be, and how you ought to act. But if you've got something in your heart, whether it's a song, a dream, or just a truth you need to speak, don't you dare let laughter stop you. Sometimes the very thing folks joke about is the thing you were born to do." The applause grew louder, not just for his performance but for the message. Parents nudged their kids, as if to say, "Did you hear that? Pay attention." And in that moment, John's